In today's video, I'll be joined by three huge Tottenham Hotspur fans, host of The Last Word on Spurs, Ricky Sachs, actor and singer Antony Costa, and YouTuber Matt Hayes. Now, please do put all of your thoughts in the comment section below whilst watching this video. There is a lot to take in, and we discussed absolutely everything. The past week, Jose Mourinho, the January transfer window, will Gareth Bale come back to his best? And we also preview the game against Chelsea this Thursday. Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I'm delighted to bring on Antony Costa, Ricky Sachs and Matt Hayes to this show to talk about Tottenham Hotspur, to talk about the week that we have had, to talk about Jose Mourinho, to talk about the January transfer window, Gareth Bale, and of course previewing the Chelsea game. Antony, let's start with you. What a week it has been. 2 games, 2 defeats, a defeat at home to Liverpool, a defeat away to Brighton. How do you sum it up?
Just typical Spurs. That's all I can say. I think, you know, no matter who's in charge, me and Rick speak every day. Me, you know, you're on the group, Chris, we talk every day. It's just not good enough. Not good enough. And I think no matter who's in charge, would the results be like this? Probably, because we haven't got the mentality anymore. We never have. And I think, you know, results go for us or go against us. We go out and try and win, and we don't win because we end up mucking it up. And it goes to show with the Brighton game. We'll come to that. But I'm just very, very upset with how things are going at the moment. And I was so excited for the season. I was loving it. But, you know, I'm waiting here tonight, hoping Arsenal lose so they don't go above us. That's how bad it's got. You know, and 6 or 7 weeks ago, we were top. It's wrong.
Antony, surely, though, after that Liverpool game, Tottenham had to give a reaction. There had to be a reaction in that Brighton game. Why didn't we get it?
They didn't want it. They didn't want it, Chris. And it goes to show. We turned up. Well, they turned up, but they didn't play football. They played like 11 individuals. And it's very, very scary. Arsenal gone 1-0 up. Oh, man. I forgot my trail of thought then because that just wound me up. But it just didn't turn up. The reaction wasn't there. Without Kane, because he's always going to get an injury, we just looked like 11 individuals just lost on the middle of the park in the pitch. I just can't. You know, we needed a centre half, and we haven't got one. And I think it's very scary the fact that if 2 of our centre halves get injured, we're lumbered with Davison and Dyer, for example, or Davis and Sanchez. It's scary, scary times.
Ricky, let's come on to you. Why didn't Tottenham, why didn't we get that reaction in that Brighton game? You know, it can't all be about Harry Kane not playing. We can't keep relying on that one player all the time.
Chris, I think it's been a week of real deep soul searching. And I've been honest with you. I mean, me personally, I kind of feel like he's losing the dressing room. I won't say lost it yet because I think Chelsea will probably be the indication of just where we are as a club and if he's going to get a reaction. But quite frankly, the last few weeks just haven't felt right. I think there just hasn't been the right atmosphere around the football club. I think the changing room is a bit split right now. I think obviously the way he's treated certain players, I don't think, you know, sits well in that dressing room. You've got to remember that a lot of these players, you know, they're friends as well. You know, they've got certain cliques in there, you know. So when you obviously fall out with people like Dele Alli, Dele's friends with Harry, Dele's friends with a lot of people in that dressing room. The same way if you fall out with Sergio Aurier, Aurier's friends with Ndombele, as we know from the Amazon documentary. And I do fear that once you lose it, it's very hard to get it back. And my worry is you spoke there about a reaction. We've not seen a reaction now for quite a number of games. I mean, listen, the Sheffield United game, the Sheffield United game for me, it's one of those that you would expect Tottenham to win. They're bottom of the league, so I'm not really going to count that one at the moment. But you look at the last 4 or 5 weeks, even if you go back to just after Arsenal, something isn't right. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but I don't know if the players are frustrated about the style of football to some degree where they're being asked to play certain roles in which they may not want to do. I look at someone like Bergwijn and, you know, when he came to the club, he was all about being vibrant, expressing himself, as we saw on his debut against Man City. You saw that goal against Man United after Project Restart, and we're just not seeing that anymore. He's been asked to perform more of a defensive duty. And I just worry that with Mourinho, we know it's kind of got a 3-year period. I worry that's kind of accelerated really fast now with Tottenham, and already players are just frustrated behind the scenes. And as much as Daniel Levy wants it to work, and we know that he's tried for many years to get Jose Mourinho, if the dressing room is not responding to him, then it's just not going to work. And listen, I was, as you know, Chris, I wanted him so much. I wanted Mourinho. He was the first choice for me. I think after Pochettino left, it needed a winner. It needed someone that had been there, done it, won trophies, won Premier Leagues. He's done all that. He's ticked all the boxes. But we know Jose that he's quite a divisive figure. And if you don't buy into his style of play, very little can change, because he's not going to change. This man has won everything. He will not be changing. So, and you can't change all the players. So we're here with Pochettino, as we was before, that, what do? Do you change the manager, or do you change all the players? And I think what was very telling on deadline day was that, I wouldn't say he was undermined, but again, Dele Alli was clearly a player that he was happy to go. He's kept Dele Alli. What do you do now? I don't know what he does. So there's, I think, a very big 90 minutes in store where we'll know a bit more than what we do now about just where we're at as a football club.
Ricky, so you really think that Jose Mourinho has lost the dressing room?
I'd say losing the dressing room, because the concern at the moment is that he hasn't had a reaction, Chris, in the last couple of games. I'm not going to count Sheffield United, because for me that game is, it's a game that we should win, even though they've had a bit of an upturn in form. I think a lot tells you, Chris, about, players and the way their body language is. That body language at the weekend was just not right for me. It had echoes of Pochettino's last game against Sheffield United. Players weren't running. I don't want to say players weren't trying, but they just didn't seem to want to get back into that game. So for me, there's a lot for me to be convinced now that suddenly all's well again. And one result isn't going to do that. So I think it's a big, big 90 minutes ahead against a team in Chelsea where we know how desperate he wants to win it. So let's see if the players provide a reaction.
Rick, I said exactly the same thing about the Sheffield United game, the last game. Of course, Pochettino managed it. It does feel very much like that. Matt, how are you feeling about the last two games, and of course, Jose Mourinho right now?
I completely understand where some people are coming from, calling for Jose out. I understand where they're coming from, but I do not agree with that at all, because it's a very similar feeling for me as to when things start to go sour under Pochettino. I think the only manager at that time I thought could turn things around was Pochettino, and right now the only manager who's available in world football that I think could turn this around is Jose Mourinho. So we know he's been in positions like this at clubs before when things have started to go sour. And like Ricky said, it's usually the 3-year period, the betting period, the successful season, and then the season when things start to go wrong. And we seem to have skipped that second season. But I do think we do need to kind of take into consideration that Jose needs money. And I honestly do believe that he had been promised money more than has been put into that club. But because of what has happened in the last year and a half, it hasn't been possible to put that money into the club. And we've heard in recent days that Jose is absolutely fuming at the lack of a centre-back brought in the window. And that right now is where our problems start. It's where the problems start. It's where they finish, with that defence. And a lot of people are saying with Jose that the style of football is obviously wrong. And look, as Spurs fans, it's not the style of football we want to see. Ideally, we would not be playing this. We know the famous quotes in the past about Spurs, like players and stuff saying, we want to go out and play with glory. Don't want to make the opposition, don't want to bore them to death. But I honestly feel if we were playing expansive attacking football right now, things would be a whole lot worse. Because I go back to that game against Wolves when we conceded that last-minute equaliser from the corner, and we played, of course, really defensive football there, and I think we had the control of that game to go on and build on the lead that we had. But I also feel if we had played, a really high line defensively, if we had committing a lot of men forward, things could have been a lot worse if we had the likes of Adama Traore, Pedro Neto, Fabio Silva running at our defence of Ben Davis and Eric Dyer if we had played that high line. So I do feel to some extent Jose is working as well as he can with the bad bunch. But at the end of the day, we still want to see a bit more in like the games. Crystal Palace again will be one of them, Fulham, where we had that 1-0 lead and we could have gone and added to what we had, but we were so reluctant to try and kill off that game when we did have full control that we wanted to go straight back into that defensive mode. And we've heard from Harry Kane in an interview recently that Jose Mourinho was telling them to play attacking football, but then we hear Moussa Sissoko saying in that game against Fulham they were told to go out and defend. So we are already starting to see that divide in the dressing room. And as Ricky was saying with the cliques that are in there, Sissoko, the famous scene from the Amazon documentary when Jose found out Sissoko was such an important part of that dressing room. I think with Sissoko making those comments and him kind of being in and out of the team since then, if someone like him now is starting to get frozen out, you do have to be concerned for what is going on in that dressing room. And I do think there are players that he has lost already. I do think there are players that will back the manager, the likes of Harry Kane. No matter what is happening, I do feel as though he will back what is going on at the club. But no, I don't think anyone can deny that at this point, Jose is making his lineup decisions personally. It's that game where Dele Alli went into the dressing room at halftime again in that documentary where we saw him talking about the defensive football and lumping it forward. That is really where that rift started between Jose and Dele Alli. And I think if Jose was looking at this purely from a footballing perspective, he would be putting Dele Alli into the team. And I know it is, again, a very divisive topic among the Spurs fan base at the moment, but I think I do believe Ali is a good enough footballer to be in our team, but even more so than that, I think we just need to try something different. Even if it's Dele Alli, if it's a youth player, whatever it is, I do think we need to try something different, and Ali's probably the best option for that. But Jose is looking at it from his own point of view. I'm not going to use the word arrogant, but it's very close to that, saying that, well, he doesn't agree with me, I'm not going to play him. But I think Ali does need to be given the opportunity to do that. And there are those like kind of certain things within Jose's management style and the way he conducts himself as well. Playing after the game against Brighton that we deserved more, I don't think anybody believes that. You know, there was absolutely no way we should have gotten anything out of that game because the players were not trying. So there are these things that Jose is doing that I can see why fans are turning against him and really, really do frustrate me. But for now, I'm still 100% behind the manager, because I think at the end of the day, what's the point in supporting the club if you're not going to be hopeful of the people that are there, and if you're not going to back the manager and the players that do deserve it, I'll say.
The thing is, Matt, with the record that Jose Mourinho's got, you know, me and Ricky and another guy, Jason, was in a pub, and Jason was absolutely baffled and disgusted that Ricky and I said that we wanted Jose Mourinho in if Mauricio Pochettino got the sack. Now, we want to see trophies. 13 years without a domestic trophy at our club. And, you know, I muck around saying the trophies are coming, you know, quite often. You know, Jose Mourinho's got us into a League Cup final, but it's about the style now. You know, every single Tottenham Hotspur fan is very, very disappointed on the style. And, you know, no matter what starting 11 he puts out, for you as a Tottenham fan, Matt, what do you think about the style that, you know, how we play at the moment?
I don't like it. And I think every Spurs fan will be of a similar opinion that when we're winning, it's good, but when we're not winning, it's not good. And if you look back at the games we've won over the last month, you know, we beat Stoke, Brentford, Wickham, Marine, Sheffield United. No matter what style of football we play, we should be beating those teams. So I think we can't really look at those as any sort of like a look at where we actually are with Jose Mourinho. But like I said, I think if we were playing that more attacking football, the results probably wouldn't be as good as they are, because just we'd be too exposed at the back with the poor defenders that we do have. But then on the flip side, we also have a defence who just can't defend set pieces. And if we're going to give away free kicks, if we're going to be bombarded and conceding corners, you know, perhaps we're in the same vein there with that we're going to concede goals from that as well. But at the base of it, I want to see attacking football. You know, like I started supporting Spurs, and it was actually a week after that last League Cup final, so maybe the trophy drought is my fault, who knows. But under Pochettino is when like I really, really started falling in love with the club. It's when I started doing the YouTube. It's when, you know, I really became a Spurs fan, more so than just someone who likes Spurs, if that makes any sense. And it's difficult to see us revert back to that, you know, defensive football. And at the end of the day, trophies are 100% what takes priority in football. And I think maybe under Pochettino, we were in a bit of a different mindset, in that it was like, you know, go out and enjoying the football that we're playing and just building season on season. But with Jose, it's, you want trophies. You know, with Poch, the question was always, is it an FA Cup or do you want to win the FA Cup or do you want to get top four? And it's always top four, because you want that progress. You want to be in the Champions League. You want to attract those players. But we know Jose isn't going to be long term. We know he's not going to be building any sort of project. We know he's not going to be investing in youth, and he's going to be here in 5-6 years' time. So the only way that this Jose era could be successful is if we win trophies. And with the success that he has as a manager, I feel as a fan, it's not really my place to question how he does that. And if this is what it takes for him to do that, if we win a trophy, it'll be worth it. But right now, it's just looking like we may not do that. So maybe it is time to try something different.
Antony, coming around to you, what do you feel about Jose Mourinho right now? Are you a Jose in or a Jose out? Because the amount of abuse that Jose Mourinho has got on you know, online this past week or so has just been dreadful. Yeah,
I mean, first of all, Matt, I mean, fair play to you, fella. You didn't live through the 90s, mate. That's all I can say. Anyway, on to Mourinho. For me, is he the best manager for the job? If you'd have asked me a month ago if we were winning games, I'd say yes. Has he lost the dressing room, as Rick was saying? I think he has lost the dressing room. You could tell by their body language. And if 22 players all go into Daniel Levy's office, that's more stronger than one man trying to save his job. I think, do I want him to stay? Well, yeah, because you might as well finish the end of the season. But is he going to be here next season and we don't win anything? Probably not. So I'm still on the fence with it, Chris. I can't decide what I want or what I don't. I don't know what I want anymore. I know I was pro Jose when he first signed. Like Ricky, I thought, yeah, trophies are coming. Like you, Chris, this is going to be great. We're going to be playing all right defensive football. We haven't got the squad. We ain't got the squad, no matter who's in charge. We haven't got it. Last week against Wycombe, we're 1-0 down. He's got to bring on the 3-4 players that are top players at our club to go and beat Wycombe. Why can't we beat Wycombe with the 11 that we're playing? Because they ain't got the mentality anymore. They've lost it. There's still players there that are stealing a living. I'm not going to name names, but they are stealing a living. One person's been there 8 years. 8 years, man. Another year, he's got a testimonial. What have you done? Squared up to Jack Wilshere. Is that where we're coming now? Is that what we're fighting for? You're useless, man. Enough. Get out of the club. There's certain players that need to go, and they don't. And it just frustrates me that we don't get rid of the dead wood. That's the bottom line. We haven't got the squad anymore. I thought we would. I thought Mourinho would change the mentality, but he hasn't. And it's gone to show with the results that's been happening.
Antony, some people would try and put a positive spin on this and say, well, we're only a few points away from top 4, and that's what it's all about, getting into the top 4. I know some of us have got carried away thinking that, Tottenham could be title contenders this season. You could look and say that Tottenham are in a League Cup final. We are still in the FA Cup, and we are still in the Europa League. Jose Mourinho is known for winning trophies. Do you see Jose Mourinho winning a trophy this season? And are you confident that he will still be our manager next season?
Oh, mate, that is a big shout. I think, I hate to say it, maybe Tottenham will be the only club that he don't win a trophy. And it'll be typical Spurs. That's the bottom line. Do they have it in their locker to turn up on April the 25th to go out and play a great Man City side? I don't know anymore. If you'd have asked me this a month ago, I'd go, yeah, we got it. I think we got it in the bag, or we're going to give them a good game.
But what's changed? What's changed within that month? Because
I don't know, Chris.
All of the fans were talking about Tottenham.
Chris, I tell you what, for me, Cristiano, it's for me, I think the players have just become frustrated and I just think they're just so at a point now where they just can't take much more in terms of the structure they're being made to play. And you know what? It's all very well. When results are going for you, you do buy in to a manager's philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick.
Sure it is. The minute for me, that Liverpool result, the minute we had that and the nature of that defeat and the way it went, I wish I could be like Ad and celebrate when a team scores against Arsenal. I'm so with Tottenham at the moment. I'm just so down about
No, they got a penalty.
Oh, penalty, okay.
Red card. Yes, red card. Move. See you later, Louise.
My point is, Chris, for me, is that I just think the players have just thought, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. They're emotionally drained and frustrated. I look at, again, and I said it in my intro piece, but someone like Bergwijn, this was not the Steven Bergwijn that I'm sure we scouted and signed, just in terms of what we've been asking him to do. He's having to play such a defensive, disciplined role that he's almost turning into a fullback now. We've lost the attacking pace of him now as a winger, and we're just saying to him, we want you to be defensive. And I think I've got to say, just quickly on this, whilst I agree with that the squad, for me, in part, still needs massive improvement. There's enough on that field to have beaten Brighton or given more than a game at Brighton.
100%. 100%, mate.
I just think, for me at the moment, I think the question is, would someone else get more out of this squad? I think that's the question that needs to be asked. Would someone get more out of this squad? And I do believe with the options there, that I do think they would get more out of the squad. But my concern is that who would you want in a cup final? You would want Jose Mourinho, and we could be potentially, well, we know we're in one of them. We could be in another two. So I'm really torn right now. I think personally, what's saving him is there is a lack of options out there right now in terms of alternative managers that are good on the market available. I think that is honestly the key, Chris. I look at when Pochettino, when we sacked him, Jose Mourinho was available. If you look right now at other options, who is out there that realistically, in this COVID situation, that Spurs would pay Mourinho off and then go and buy another manager out of their contract on compensation? And
yeah, are you saying then, Rick, that you think the board are actually considering this at the moment?
I think at the moment it's still far too early because of the nature. I think it is, what is it? Is it only 3 or 4 defeats in over 30 games? He has got the club into a cup final. It could get them into another cup final or 2. They are also in a position where the top 4 is not overly far. I think, like Chris, I know you said it as well before, where the top 4 becomes at risk, that could be where Jose Mourinho's future becomes also at risk. But having said that, whilst the Europa League is still a viable option for Tottenham, I don't think they're going to sack him. I really don't. So I can probably see him lasting until the end of the season and just assessing it then. I just think all of us are quite surprised because I will say this, we all expected Mourinho to last up to 3 seasons. But if you would say in his first full season, we would be thinking and talking like this, I don't think we would have believed you, even a couple of months ago, even in November. Have we had this conversation?
Rick, say if everything was hunky-dory, right? Ali was playing. Yeah. He was playing, he was doing well, but we weren't winning. But we were still playing good football, for example, but we were losing, or we were nicking or nicking a win here and there, but still be in the cup final as we are now, right? What would we be saying then? I'm sitting here now, while we're on, obviously wanting Arsenal to lose, but we shouldn't be like that. Because 6-7 weeks ago, we're 10, 11 points above them. Mind the gap. I never tweet things like that.
As you know, Anne, I think the issue is that when you're winning, you can bypass, you can paper over the cracks about the style of football.
And we have
when you are not winning, when you are not winning, and you haven't got a decent style of football, you just feel so drained. You come away thinking, I can't carry on doing this. And it's not often, you look at a game and think Tottenham, we're not even enjoyable watching now. We've never been like that, ever.
It's taken me 2 days, man, to get over the Brighton game. I'm a 40-year-old man.
It takes you a day to get over the defeat. Then it takes you another day to get over the performance, the style of it.
And then I'm sitting here worrying about we're going to be 9th by the end of tomorrow.
This is another worry. This is another problem. We play after all the teams play, so it's another worry.
Usual. I don't like games in hand because we never do well, no matter who's in charge, what squad we've got. We always seem to muck up. We've given Brighton their first league win of the season. It's a joke.
Trossard's first goal in 19 games as well.
Of course. Liverpool ain't scored since 2021. All right, it hasn't been a long, but in Liverpool's terms, they ain't scored a goal. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong. Come to Tottenham, they'll help you out. We'll help you out. And I'm fed up of it. Romano's in charge. I was saying this about Poch. I said this about AVB. I've said this about Yo. All the time. I don't mind losing, but go out and give a go. Go out and give 100%. If we hit the bar, we hit the crossbar, we tested the keeper. Our first target was 79th minute. Disgrace, mate. 10 minutes before the end of the game.
I think for me,
disgraceful.
Yeah, for me, saving him, Chris, it's no viable option. That for me is what's saving at the moment. There isn't any other one out there that really is kind of saying to you, grab me. I think at the moment, Mourinho is probably, probably the best we can get out there right now because we are in a cup final. We could be in a couple more, but the league form is deteriorating. No getting away from that. It's deteriorating rapidly.
When you look back, though, Matt, let's come to you. When you look back at that Manchester United away game, 6-1, what a superb day that was. And then when you look at these last few games, what a difference. It's like chalk and cheese. What's changed for you in that time?
I think that the West Ham draw, it almost feels like a defeat, was a massive turning point with everything, because I think that was kind of the moment Jose actually first realised he just can't trust this defence. It's the first ever team to throw away a three-goal lead in the final 10 minutes of a Premier League game. That right there tells you there's a massive, massive problem. And we were obviously free-flowing going forward. We scored 6 against United. After that, we scored 5 against Southampton. And we did look like we could beat any team that was put in front of us. But when you go 3-0 up against West Ham, and I do feel a lot of it was complacency, but it also comes down to the lack of ability in the defence and even in the midfield helping out that defence. Harry Winks could probably be blamed for that third goal. As much of a wonder strike it was, he should have just cleared that ball. And then I think Jose started to realise he's a bigger job in his hands in instilling a winning mentality in this team. And if that's not there, if the mentality isn't there to go out and grind out these games, maybe he thought he needed a more pragmatic approach and he needed to put a lot more into the system to keep other teams out rather than keeping us scoring. And it all comes down to, I think, as well, our over-reliance on Kane and Son, because as much as we knew they weren't going to score as often as they did in those games, Jose realised they were not going to overperform in front of goal as much as they did in the opening stages of the season. And, going into this hectic period, as it's the most congested season ever, I'll never understand it. We're starting in September, a month later than usual. We're still finishing in May, and then someone decides to play 3 games over an international break. I think Jose realised, as well as that, the fitness of these players needs to be protected. Because if we go out and if we played like Liverpool did, with their free-flowing football, if we played like we did under Pochettino, the injuries right now will be a lot worse than they are. And Liverpool are the perfect example of that. None of their players can stay fit. So there's a lot of different factors that has come into it, I think, that has affected the way this is going. But look, Jose came out before he got the job at Spurs when he was working with Sky Sports. They did this big documentary with him, and he said after United he reevaluated himself as a person, as a manager. He brought in this whole new management team, the team from Lille, who were known for their attacking football, and we thought this is a new Jose. Things are going to be very different for him. But as soon as things started to show the slightest bit of going sour, he reverted to his old self and he went back to his old tricks. He's like, just playing the defensive football, that'll work. But I think I do feel as though football has passed him out. And I always say when I'm talking about this, if you look at Arsene Wenger when he was at Arsenal, as much as I hate to bring it up, but when he came into Arsenal, he was one of the best managers in the league, if not in the world. And he was 10 years ahead of football, is the ahead of the game, is what people always say about him. But he did not change who he was or the way he played football in the 20 years he was at the club. So by the time he was sacked, he was 10 years behind everyone else. And I feel as though Jose maybe is now in a very similar position. He needs to adapt his game and update what he's doing to suit football right now, because I do always talk about it. Like him, he had the best defensive counter-attacking team that I ever know about in that Real Madrid side that won the La Liga way back in, was it 2011 or 2012? But things are just so different right now.
And Chelsea, Matt, you're forgetting that. I don't remember Chelsea playing it the first time round, defensive football. With players like Robben, Duff, Makelele, Lampard, Terry at the back, Carvalho. They were solid. Let's call it straight. They were solid.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
They were solid. We keep chopping and changing our centre halves.
Well,
we got a centre midfielder, right midfielder playing at right back. When you got a right wing back sitting on the bench. Sorry, Chris.
That's my next question. Do you think that Jose Mourinho knows his best 11? Because we had this debate on the Last Word on Spurs podcast last week about the centre back. Who is the best centre back at Tottenham? 3 out of the 4 of us said Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah, 100%.
He was on the bench. Does Jose Mourinho know his best 11? Because there is a lot of swapping and changing around, isn't there?
100%, mate. And it's what I said when we first started talking. 2 of our centre halves get an injury. I'm very unconfident with what I'm going to see on that pitch. Liverpool have got an injury to Van Dijk, as we know. Joel Matip's out for the season. They've gone out and bought 2 centre halves. All right, one's called Ben Davies from Preston, but the other lad we were in for, and they went out and did their business yesterday in the transfer window. And we're sitting here going, let's hope Alderweireld or a fit Dyer don't get injured. I'm not saying Dyer's the answer. I'm not saying Dyer's the answer, but he's the best of a bad bunch, bar Toby Alderweireld. Rodon's done all right. I'm not dissing him. I think he's done all right, but he needs an older head next to him. That's to learn.
Can I tell you what, though, Chris? Just to come on Anthony's point there, I think the reason why no other money might have been sanctioned yesterday is that at the moment with these results, do you trust Jose Mourinho another penny at the moment? Because I'm looking at it thinking, you look at the summer, Gareth Bale's come in. We're all so excited about Gareth Bale coming home and the massive fanfare. He's barely played any Premier League minutes. And again, we're not in that dressing room. We are not privy to knowing, who's the reasoning behind Gareth's lack of minutes. Is it because he's not working hard? Is it because he's not, doing enough defensively for Mourinho to kind of want to bring him in the team? Something isn't quite right there for me.
Gareth Bale, listen, Rick,
so out of confidence, and so out.
Mate, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but know as well as I do. Matt's here as well. Chris will know. You don't become a bad player overnight, right? Okay. Now, if you're coming to a club where you're loved, fans love you. You're pleased to be back, and we're all jumping and cheerful and everything. We're on we're on the Last Word. We're going absolutely mental. And he comes and then he's sitting on the bench and he's looking over and he sees 2 players that ain't the greatest, no disrespect, coming on before you, who in my eyes do not change games. I'm not saying Gareth Bale's going to change the game, but give him a chance. Give him a chance. Give him a run out.
Yeah. We don't. We're not privy to knowing what's going on in that dressing room. But to me, Chris, again, you Levy's wanted this guy back, not for 1 season, not for 2 seasons. He's wanted him back for 3-4 seasons, Gareth Bale. 3-4 years. And I just find it bemusing and baffling. Obviously, Gareth doesn't probably want to come out and say anything because, he's a respectful guy. He's not been one to ever really go right into the media about wanting out. Even at Madrid when it was bad, he never ran out and, was very, in his comments trying to be forceful about getting a move. But something isn't right. And I just think, this is quite a big week for the football club. I do think the Chelsea game will answer a lot of questions of fans as to where we are right now. And just back to your point about changing the team, as we've said about Pochettino towards the end, you will never get, consistent results if you keep on changing your team every single week. And the problem we've got is we don't know our best back four. I dare I say don't know our best midfield as well. I mean, Lo Celso, for example, I was laughed at when I said that I'd take Bruno Fernandes every time I have a Giovanni Lo Celso. We can't keep the guy fit. We can't keep the guy fit. No. I just think...
and he's out for another 3 weeks. So by the time he comes back, we're in the middle of April, and then the season's over. What have you done to earn yourself £60 million? They've spent nearly £60 million on him. Come on.
It feels like at the moment, Chris, there's just so much that is going on just kind of in and around the club where there's such a lack of cohesion and structure and philosophy. With Pochettino, can I just say, at the beginning and even before the end, we did have an identity. We knew what we were working towards. We knew how we were playing. Right now, I couldn't even tell you what we're trying to do. That's the hard thing. I can't try and tell you what we're trying to do right now.
I think it's gone beyond that, Rick. It's gone beyond this whole identity. I get what you're saying, mate, because we speak every day. But the identity, I think for us, it's playing good football and getting good, decent results. That to me is Spurs' identity.
But the thing is, Antony, it was only a few weeks ago. Tottenham were top of the league. We're still the mood was very, very high, and now it's so low. And then every Tottenham fan, including yourself, is saying the players aren't good enough. Now, you said earlier that some players just aren't good enough for the football club. Name some of them. Who do you think is? Because I did think it was funny yesterday. Ben Davies, of course, went from Preston to Liverpool.
Mate,
you thought it was Tottenham's Ben Davies. You were celebrating.
I literally woke up. Matt, we're on a WhatsApp group, and I literally woke up with a smile on my face. And then I realised who it was. Listen, I'm sorry. There's certain players, Chris. Mate. I don't need to. It's not rocket science.
I can list them if you want.
Go on in, Rick. I'll just back you up, mate.
Well, I just think there's players I've been here for a very, very long. I mean, someone like Harry Winks, God bless him. Winks for me when he first come onto the scene, he was a fast, progressive footballer, liked to put the ball forward. With Harry, there isn't that there anymore. Whether that again is because what's that? Yeah. Go on.
I'm saying 3 assists in 3 years. Yeah. I was saying to Chris, that Smith Rowe for Arsenal, he's done more in 4 games than what Winks has done. And it's true. It's true. Matt, do you want to back me up or go against what I'm saying, please?
Let's go on Harry Winks. There's a number of players that, again, I don't know if you agree, Matt, that should, they should have been moved on by now. But what I will say again, very quick, I want to give Matt, obviously, a chance to come in. I just think, with the squad that's there at the moment, Chris, we should be getting more out of it. We should be, no doubt.
These are 30, 40 million pound players that we rave on about. And we're sitting here going, getting laughed about. Yeah, we don't need John Stones or, Nathan Ake. These players are top players. John Stones has just turned into a world beater. Will it last? I don't know. But we haven't got that. We haven't got that caliber. Bar Toby Alderweireld, who, let's be honest, his legs are going. He's getting older. But where's the new blood coming through? There's no one.
Matt, let's come on to you.
Go on, Matt.
What is going to be good enough for you as a Tottenham fan come the end of the season? Winning a trophy, finishing the top 4, finishing the top 6, and what keeps Harry Kane at this club?
Can I say, first of all, on the Harry Winks point, I do think he's almost a victim of the style of play that we're playing. Now, he's not a good enough footballer to be the one that gets us to the level that we need to be at. But at his best, was the man sitting behind the attacks, that metronome in the middle of the park, that was keeping the games going. When our attacks looked to break down, he was the one playing that pass, moving the ball quickly to keep the attacks going. And there's just no place for that in our team right now. So I do think, as poor as he has been, he is a victim of the system Jose Mourinho is playing.
Matt, it's only a joke. They take the piss out of me because I'm always having a pop at him just because he's an easy target. But
it's birthday.
Let's talk about his birthday. Happy birthday, Harry.
What a present!
But Lamella, let's talk about Lamella. He's been there 8 years, and in them 8 years, I can't see I mean, please forgive me about his stats. I don't do stats, but what's he actually done? Has he ever gone out and won us a game when he's come on, or started a game and won us the game? I don't know what he's done.
There's a clause in Eric Lamella's contract when we signed him from Roma that when he scored 20 goals in the Premier League, we'd have to pay them an extra bonus. He's been here 8 years and we haven't paid that yet. That's the biggest problem we have right now. Yeah, he's only scored 16. Matt? Yep. Only 16 goals in the Premier League.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
It's a concern.
That's what I'm saying. 16 goals in 8 years. It's just like...
Matt, what keeps Harry Kane at the club, though? Because if we win a League Cup this season and then we finish, say, 5th or 6th in the league, if you're Harry Kane, are you staying at Spurs?
I can't find a reason to say that he would stay at the club. I really can't. And look, I know Jose, of course, I think the club has gone in a way backwards since he came in, but Harry Kane as a player personally has gone on to levels that we never thought was possible for him. And I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking there's no doubt in my mind Mauricio Pochettino would take Harry Kane at PSG. And if Kane wants trophies, I don't think he's at the stage of his career now. Is he 27, 28 years old, where he can't really be picky with the trophies he wants to win. So if he wants to win them, maybe move to PSG is the best thing for him on a personal level right now. And PSG have the money to pay. If we get an offer, Daniel Levy will take it. And if Kane gets enough money, going to be reunited with Pochettino, playing with the likes of Neymar and Mbappe, I can't imagine he'd turn that down. But there's nothing keep him at the club other than his own personal, if it's his morals or something, the loyalty he has for the club. Aside from that, there's nothing. And so often throughout the Pochettino era, he was asked, do you ever see yourself leaving Spurs? And he said, I will stay for my career at Spurs. But there's been a few moments under Jose in the last year or so when he's been asked it. He said, you never know what's going to happen. Or, if the offer comes, he can't say now that he'd say no to that. So for me, that points out that he's not as committed to the club he was in the past. Now, as far as it goes, being committed, he is the most committed that is there. He'll fight 100% for that badge every time he's on the pitch. But we're at the stage now where we don't owe, or he doesn't owe us anything. He has given so much of his career and so much of what he has to offer to football to Tottenham Hotspur, and it hasn't been repaid in the form of trophies. It hasn't been repaid in the form of building a team around him, which is what we were supposed to be doing 5-6 years ago. And right now he's injured for one game. We can't get more than 2 shots on target against Brighton. So nothing that he has given to us has been repaid, and that's a massive problem. So I honestly feel if an offer comes in, I think Harry Kane will find it really, really difficult to turn that down.
Yeah, he's right, Matt. He's right, mate. He's right.
What keeps Harry Kane at the club?
Well, I think at the moment...
Go on. No, go on.
I just think at the moment, Chris, I think Harry's line has been right, what he's been saying. Harry said, as long as the club is moving in the right direction, I'm happy to commit my future. I mean, as a fan, I don't feel the club's moving in the right direction. So if I don't feel as a fan, how can I expect Harry to commit? A League Cup doesn't keep him here. I think, again, does getting him back into the Champions League. I'm not even sure anymore, Chris, because I think what Harry wants is to see a team that is actually genuinely going to challenge for the title. And stupidly, I was one of those idiots that, I say idiots, I do feel bad saying that. I was one of those people that when we were on that great run at the start of the season, I did fall into that period of thinking, you know what, we might have a chance here because we were so strong structurally at the back.
We all did.
Scoring goals, and the league, again, as I said, and even now, the league is so chaotic and crazy when no one's running away with it. But, the reality is that if you look at Spurs' form alone, and where we should be in this league is everybody's performing to their maximum, we should be 10th or 11th, 12th. That's where we should be right now. But because of how poor and how just inconsistent other teams have been, we're still in a chance of a top 4. Don't ask me how. I don't know how. But all I know is that, I wouldn't want to worry anyone by saying this, because I don't know any inside knowledge here, but Son has not signed his new contract. Can you blame him right now if he doesn't want to commit? Because I don't think you can blame him. Son, for me, is a world-class player that could get into any team in the world. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, you name him, PSG, he'd get there. So if 100%. I was Son, I would be holding fire on that new contract.
Do you know... With Harry, I mean, listen, there's not much more I can say, but if you want to ask my opinion, he's given so much to this club, where the chances he could have gone maybe on the quiet, where he might have had an offer, and he stayed. So do you know what, mate? If you go on and win things, you have my blessing, because we're at the moment, we're going backwards. And, he must be looking over at the bench or looking on the pitch who he's playing with. Some players aren't good enough. That's the truth. That is the truth. Do any of our players, bar Ndombele, Højbjerg, Kane and Son, get into any... Wow, what a goal, Moutinho.
That's such a good goal. God, what a
Wow.
strike. What a strike.
Do any of them any of our squad, get into the top 6 sides, bar them 4 or 5 players?
I'd probably say Lloris, but even he can have an off day.
All right,
yeah,
Lloris. All right, okay, fine. But he's getting on a bit. For me, I'd like a new keeper this year. I think Nick Pope would be fantastic for us. But do they get into the top 6? The squad that we've got, bar obviously the main boys. No, they don't. Harvey Barnes, he's much better than Moura, much better than Lamella. James Maddison.
I do think though, Chris, on this point about the squad quickly, I do think with a change of style, it would, give the squad an impetus, a bit of a lift. I think that, what makes me laugh is that, clearly we're not good at this defensive approach because we keep on conceding goals and we're not scoring. So, we've got to try something different. If something's not working, and you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're not getting results, you do have to change it. You have to change it. And especially now, you talk about Harry there. Without Harry now, we looked absolutely lost. Absolutely lost at the weekend without him, because everything goes through him. So now we have to find an alternative. But if you're not going to play the alternative striker that allegedly was top of Jose Mourinho's list here, Carlos Vinicius was the man that apparently, Mourinho outset said, he's the man I want. And he's not starting.
Do you believe that, Rick? Do you really, hand on heart, believe that?
Well,
that's the man he wanted. Seriously, let's call it straight. Is he the man that Mourinho went, yeah, I want Carlos Vinicius?
There's no way.
I don't think so.
I do think there is always that issue, though. I know you probably don't want to go into it now, Chris, but I do think trying to get another top draw striker to come to the club and to sit on the bench, as much as we don't think, as we hate that term backup striker, it isn't easy. Look at Vinicius. Look at his goal scoring record last season. I'm amazed that he's happy about his lack of minutes at the moment, because he's had enough ample opportunities to get minutes, in my opinion, and hasn't been given them. So I don't know. Is that his fault?
Is that Mourinho's fault?
Well, we've said that before the Brighton game, he'd played 25 minutes of Premier League football, and then, of course, 45 minutes. So 70 minutes in total this season. It's an incredible number. Why do you think that is, though, Rick? Do you think that Jose's not trusting him because he's playing in games like against Marine, he's playing in the Europa League games, and he's clearly not trusting him or want to trust him in these Premier League matches?
I just, honestly, Chris, I'm at the moment, I'm at a real loss when it comes to, I don't know what you guys think now, when I get a team selection that comes out, right, was it an hour before kickoff? I look at that now and I think, what is going on? How are we setting up? How are we playing? It feels to me like the last few weeks of Pochettino, where you looked at a lineup and you thought, I'm not sure what we're trying to do here. There's no consistency. There's no structure. And I mean, listen, at the weekend, Doherty was signed. Listen, I'm the first to say, I think Matt Doherty, listen, he can't be a bad footballer, but for whatever reason, it's just not working this season. I fail to believe you become a bad footballer overnight. But, for him to not even get into the team when we're looking for a recognised right wing back and he's not in the team, you do scratch your head and you think, something just isn't right here. I mean, listen, the Chelsea game is such a big game, generally to kind of see where things are at. I think, again, what will be very interesting to see, I don't know if you're going to bring on to him, Chris, but someone like Dele Alli, is Dele going to come back into the fold?
Has to.
He's going to come back in.
We're going to come on to that now. Matt, let's come to you. January transfer window, 14 players out, no players in. Jose Mourinho said very early on there will be no players in. There'll be very little activity, if any. He was absolutely right. Danny Rose is still at the club and Dele Alli is still at the club. Of course, Daniel Levy blocked Dele Alli's loan move to PSG. What do you make of it?
I think if we're going to block his move to PSG, only because we didn't get a replacement, to not put him in the squad would be absolutely criminal in every sense of it, in terms of finances for the club, in terms of the morale in the dressing room, and also in terms of Dele Alli and his career. You simply cannot block that move because we don't get a replacement if he isn't going to play games. You can't do that. And like I was saying, I think we need to try something different. And if that thing, something different is Dele Alli. Look, we've been laughing at Arsenal for the last year. They've been absolutely crying out for an attacking midfielder. And we've been laughing at them for saying that while they'd also bumping fists with Gunnar Soares at the training ground. We're in the exact same position right now. We need a creative midfielder. And we've Dele Alli, who has been that man for us. And like Antony was making the same point on Gareth Bale, you don't become a bad player overnight. And look back at Ali, back when he was at his best in the 2016-17 season, he'd something like 18 goals and 14 assists in the Premier League. Those are world-class numbers. That ability still has to be in there somewhere. And I made the point with Harry Winks, maybe it's similar with Dele Alli. He is a victim of the system that Jose is playing because he just doesn't fit into that perfectly. But the system isn't working. So we do need to try something different. And on the whole transfer thing, I think Ricky pointed out that Daniel Levy has been trying to get Gareth Bale for 3 or 4 years. That was not a Jose Mourinho signing. I don't think Doherty was. I don't think Vinicius was. And it all comes down to, we were saying with Pochettino at the end of his tenure, he was saying, you should call me head coach and not manager. Jose Mourinho's title is head coach. What does that say about him and the power that he actually has on transfers? And if he wanted Dele Alli to go, Dele Alli should have gone. As much as I love Ali, as much as I wanted to work out for him at the club, a lot of that may be sentimentality, but it's also partly down to the ability that he does have. If Jose wanted him when it's been blocked, I think that says a lot about where the power actually is at the club and the lack of structure that is there. And if you want Jose to succeed, you need to give him the money and the players that he wants. And if that's not going to happen, maybe we are going to be the first team where he doesn't win trophies.
Surely now, though, Matt, that Jose Mourinho on the training pitch needs to put his arm around Dele Alli and get him on side and get him playing. That's going to be the best thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been saying that for ages. If you look at where Dele Alli came from, you had Carl Robinson in charge at MK Dons, you had Mauricio Pochettino at Spurs, and both of those managers have been described by so many of their players as these father figures that we're more than managers, they were friends. Jose Mourinho is quite simply not that man. And again, it comes back to him not changing as much as he said he did. He hasn't changed anything about his game since things have started to go wrong. And if Ali does need that man to put the arm around the shoulder, Jose Mourinho is not going to be that man. There's no way.
And the thing is, Matt, as well, we've spoken about this. We've had every type of manager. We've had Harry and Martin Yole. Harry Redknapp, Martin Yole. Arm around your shoulder, go out and beer with the boys. You've had AVB, Mr. Boring. Now you've got Mourinho. You've got Potts, the father figure. Been there, done it. You've got Mourinho now. Been there, done it. But it obviously different personalities. Where do we go? Ali's got to step to the plate, knock on Mourinho's door and say, listen, let's put everything aside. Maybe it's not as easy as that, and go, look, I want a chance. The Euros are coming up. I want to play football. I want to have half a chance getting into that England squad. Mm-hmm. Is he going to start? Probably not. Is he going to be on the bench? I hope so, because we need something. We need another figure in there, because what we've got is not good enough. Alfie Devine, bless him, had a great debut against Marine. He's getting in there before Dele Alli. It's scary times, mate.
Anthony, what do you make of that, though? Because if Daniel Levy and Jose Mourinho have kept Dele Alli at the club, surely we have to use them, because you cannot keep a player there. No. Of course, he's looking towards the future. He's looking towards the summer, the Euros, etc. Dele Alli wants to be part of this squad. He's never ever thrown his toys out the pram or anything like that. He's always acted very, very professionally. Do you see Jose Mourinho using him, saying this Chelsea squad this Thursday?
No, that's the bottom. I think Jose's a very stubborn man, as we know. And I think Levy is going to put pressure on Mourinho. And I think that might make Mourinho go, do you know what? I can't be bothered anymore. See you later. I honestly, that's the vibe that I feel when I'm watching, his interviews or the style of football we're playing.
Can I make a bold prediction, Chris?
Go on, Rick.
I think Dele will be here longer than what Mourinho is.
That's why they didn't sell him or give him a
I tell you what, I know it's a very big thing to say there, but I think when you look at the thing here, if Mourinho didn't want him, how much is that undermining him? I think, Matt, you said it a minute ago, you're right. He has got the title of head coach, same as Ndombele. Mourinho was happy for him to go in the summer. Daniel was the one that, led that mediation meeting, to try and get him back on side. So those are two players there that I think, again, he's been undermined, Mourinho, to some degree from Levy, to say, we're not letting him go. We're not letting Ndombele go. We're not letting Dele go. And I think Daniel's not stupid. We saw it on Amazon, that documentary where Ferguson wanted to sign Dele. Daniel Levy knows at what point Dele should go, because obviously he wouldn't have received anywhere near his value that he would have got if he sold him in this window. Paris Saint-Germain probably weren't willing to pay what Daniel Levy would have wanted. And I just think, what Dele needs really is, as you've just said there, Chris, that arm around the shoulder. Now, Mourinho is not that type of manager, like Matt said as well. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens. For me, he has to come back into the team. What frustrated me about the Dele situation is that at the start, I was backing Jose because I said, you know what? Maybe Dele isn't working hard enough. Maybe he's a bit of a party boy. Maybe he's not trying. But then what I did see from Dele is after that, when he did get a couple of opportunities in the cup, I saw a change in him. I really saw an effort for him to try and get into his plans. And then we saw what he done and when he brought him up against Stoke in the Carabao Cup for that flick. But that is the same flick, and Ant, please forgive me for saying this. This is the same flick that got Tottenham to a Champions League final. This is the same flick that has won Tottenham games. If you want to take the risk-taking out of every single player, you do not get moments in a game. You do not get any moments to win games. You can't take that out of Ali, because if you take that out of Ali, there's no player there.
No,
so
Rick,
you have to let the player
he's done that. Yeah, but Rick,
play.
he's done that everywhere he's gone, and it only got and it really hit home. He done that with Joe Cole at Chelsea. And that ruined his career, but he didn't really go on to do anything special after that. You know, Joe Cole for me was an exciting young player. He was going to be the next Gaza. And you got Mourinho slagging you off in the press. He went to Liverpool, Joe Cole, and didn't do anything. And then he went Lille, or then he went this one and that one, and then his career faded from that one comment.
When we've seen like the sub bench before, and Jedson Fernandez has got a sub bench before Dele Alli, something is seriously wrong, isn't it?
It's also, Chris, just on that point, it's a massive disrespect as well to him, because I do think in those last few weeks where Dele was still getting in the squad, for me, he had enough status in that dressing room to be in that squad, and it's no disrespect ahead of the Alfie Vines, ahead of the Jedson Fernandezes. So for me, there's a lot of work now that needs to be done behind the scenes to make Dele also feel important, because one of the key traits with Pochettino that, again, you know me, Ant, on this, and you know as well, Chris, for me, I thought it was the right time for Poch to go. But what he did do very well is he made every player feel so special and feel important. Dele knows the manager didn't want him. So therefore, are we really going to get the best Dele Alli right now? I don't think we are. I think he's so low on confidence. And the only way that you get that confidence back, for me, is playing games. But I don't know really if he's going to get those games. So you have to question whether Daniel and Jose had a conversation, you know, on that basis of him saying that, listen, we're going to utilise this player and we're going to use him, because at the moment, we're not getting the results and the team needs to change. There needs to be something that changes here for us to get results. It isn't going to be the same. It can't be the same 11 again. We're not getting the results.
No. Son looks lost as well. You know, he can't go quietly. You know, he hasn't been putting up any trees because
there's no Kane there though, man. I think that's another big problem.
But this is what I'm saying, Rick. Why should we always rely on Kane? We got £300 million worth of players on that pitch. We should be beating Brighton.
Of course we should.
Or giving them a game.
The way I see it is, as long as Tottenham are in contention of getting that top 4 place, or indeed a European place, you know, Champions League or Europa League, of course we qualified for Europa League this season, then the Tottenham board will be happy with what the manager is delivering. Now, you mentioned the Amazon documentary there, Rick. We saw clearly that Jose Mourinho was the man that Daniel Levy wanted. It was his number one target. It was the only person he wanted in. You know, to make that decision of getting rid of the manager, I just cannot see it happening.
Not at the moment. I think it would have to take it would have to take a real turn down, you know, I don't want to say wheels coming off in terms of results. The thing as well we got to bear in mind is that, you know, whilst we're still in the Europa League, that is still an outlet to get into the Champions League.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I think he'll be here for a very, very long time. And I think, to be honest, because of just how crazy the season is, what are we? You know, we're only technically, is he even 2 years into his contract? You know, it's his first full season at the moment. So it's a lot of money to even pay Mourinho off. And I'm going to tell you something, Jose Mourinho knows this is his last job now in this country. He won't get another job in England in terms of the Premier League. So he will not resign. He will not resign. We know that he won't resign. So the only way you're going to get rid of Jose is by sacking him. And after what we had to pay Pochettino in terms of compensation, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. But, you know, at the moment, it's very short in terms of, you know, looking at other managers and who can come in. It's very difficult right now. And I know fans are very frustrated. And I'm just going to be honest with you, Chris, I don't think it's going to get much better at the moment. I really don't. I think the move...
So we beat Chelsea. All right, okay. So, for instance, we beat Chelsea in an ideal world on Thursday. Yeah, of course it is. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to come to my point. You beat Chelsea on Thursday. We're all cheering. We're all bantering and all that. Yeah, brilliant. You know, Wink scores the winner. And and then we got West Brom. Now, do you think the confidence will be up, or do you think it will be another West Brom ain't scored all season, they're going to score their first goal against us? Did you see what I'm saying? It's going to paper over a lot of cracks. And it is down to management. Of course it is, because he picks the team. But I keep coming back to the squad itself. It ain't good enough.
Antony,
4 or 5 players.
We will come on to the Chelsea game in a minute. Matt,
yeah, I'm just talking that now. Yeah.
Let's talk about Gareth Bale, because of course, we were all absolutely delighted in the summer when he turned up at Hotspur Way. We all thought that all of our Christmases had come at once. He'd been away at Real Madrid for 7 years, won every trophy in the land, come back. We're all absolutely delighted, thinking the prospect of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Gareth Bale up front is just going to be, no one's going to stop it. What have you made of Gareth Bale's time at Tottenham this season?
It's been exactly what all the rival fans told us it would be, and that's the most heartbreaking thing, is that everyone saw it and we didn't. And look, I was as happy as anybody else when Gareth Bale came in, because on the Friday Bale and Reguilon arrived in England, I was live streaming for 7 hours waiting for the announcement, and it never came. But I was still just as happy the next day when those videos did come out. But I think the risk was always there. Like, we always knew that. We knew it was either going to be a massive success and he'd be the perfect man to put up there with Kane and Son, or it was going to be, maybe he's just a bit past his best. And everyone else was right. Unfortunately, he's not been the biggest flop we've ever signed. He's better than some of those attacking players in that team. He's the only player we have who scored in all 4 competitions for us this season. I think that in itself does need a bit of recognition. But he's shown signs of progress, which I think is something that fans are kind of not willing to, or they're looking past a bit too much, because maybe it suits their agenda of, the business wasn't good enough, Bale shouldn't have come back or whatever. But is progress enough for us to extend that loan by another year and take him next year? Because we're paying £220,000 a week for him. And of course, Real Madrid's still paying almost £400,000. It's a lot of money. And I saw someone, I think it was on Twitter, in a comment to one of my streams the other day, said, if we were paying Gareth Bale £80,000 a week, fair enough, he's doing a good job. But because of how much we're paying him, we're just not getting the result of what we're putting into that. And he is past his best. There's no denying that. Anyone at the age that he is at is past their best. But what we have to look at is, are we going to get more out of him better than he is now? And I just don't think we are, because it's been so long since he played consistent football. He's has his injury problems and all that. I think going to Spain, it's a very very different proposition to what it is in the Premier League, and he hasn't played in the Premier League since he was in his physical prime, and he was 22, 23 years old. So unfortunately, I do think it has come to the point where we just need to accept we're not going to get Gareth Bale back. We're not going to have a player who will be that man who come off the bench and impact things. He's not going to be that, the players running at defenders and terrifying them, ending Maicon's career. He's just way past that. And I do think at this moment in time, Bergwijn is a better option than him. And if that's the player willing to look at, I think there's a big concern there with Bale.
Matt, yesterday, Harry Redknapp told Sky Sports, how to, get the best out of him. Give him a chance on the pitch, give him some minutes, put him against one of the worst defenders in the club, build his confidence.
He's got a list to go through there, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's going to be at training all day, mate. He'll be at training all day.
How long's he got? He'll be there till about half-8.
He'll be there till midnight.
But
come back and do it again the next day.
Matt, how is Jose Mourinho going to get the best out of Gareth Bale? Because we are now in February. The season ends in May. We need him for big games. We're all expecting, every single time he plays, I'm thinking, I sit down, watch the TV and think, this is going to be the game where Gareth Bale shines. This is going to be the game where, he scores and gets 3 assists and, works his magic. And we just haven't seen it yet. I'm very surprised, I must say.
Yeah, the hope, I think, as a Spurs fan in anything, the hope is what is the worst part of it all. And, he played against Wickham last Monday, and I was saying, even though it's only Wickham, he was looking a lot more direct. And it was the first time since he came back that we saw him take on a man and leave him for dead. It's always been him trying to take on a man, maybe turning back then and playing at the fullback, but he's beaten men easily. But it's about stepping on from there and progressing from there. And we did not see that against Brighton. He was just back to the Gareth Bale that we've had all season. And in terms of getting the best out of him, I just don't think he can anymore. I really don't. There comes a time in everybody's career that you have to accept that's the end of that. And because of the injuries and everything that went on in Madrid while he was there, I think that part of Gareth Bale's career has been pushed forward quite a bit, and we may just be at that stage now. And I think in terms of putting him up against the worst defenders of the club, it'll be a tough decision to make. It who is the worst. I said yesterday when Liverpool signed Ben Davies, they now have the best Ben Davies in the Premier League, and if that's a Spurs fan looking at that, it's a massive concern. But I think we just need to move on past Bale. And of course, keep him for the rest of the season. We can use him, you know, if you want to use him in Europa League game, the second leg against Wolfsburger, if we have that wrapped up or something like that. He is still a good fringe player to have, but like I said a minute ago, for £220,000 a week, that's just not good enough. And I think we do need to let go of sentimentality when it is this much money being involved, and we need to look at the player, what he's offering to the club, the ability that he has, and he's just unfortunately not good enough.
Chris, can I just say, on that interview with Harry, and a lot of people picked up on this as well, I saw many people saying, does Harry come back and manage us? You know, and I know this sounds crazy. Listen, all joking aside, listen, Harry, obviously, he's been around the block and whatever, but the way he's talking, I've got to be honest with you and say that he made so much sense. You know, I wish Jose Mourinho was watching that interview. I mean, listen, he's not going to take advice of Harry Redknapp, don't get me wrong. The guy's won everything in the game, but I'm sitting there thinking, I saw polls going out saying, who would you rather manage the club right now, Harry Redknapp or Jose Mourinho? Because what he said about Ali was spot on. What he said about, you know, Gareth was spot on.
Could you imagine Redknapp managing Ali?
Well, he just said, go and play, go and express yourself. And I know it sounds silly that we were warned. And I know, Chris, you want to put it on this subject of Bale. I promise you want to talk about it in 1 second. But, you know, I have to quickly just say, Man United fans, they were very quick to say, you know, towards the end with Mourinho, you know, he shackled every single one of those players so much that in the end, they lost their own identity. And this is what I mean, that at the moment, the players just need to, as Harry would say, go and express yourself and go and enjoy the game. And I feel like at the moment, we are not enjoying it. Watching it, we're not enjoying it. The players don't look like they're enjoying it, playing it. You know, Gareth could not wait to come off, Chris. Could not wait to come off, you know, against Brighton. If you saw his reaction, he couldn't wait. He almost ran off. I tell you, he looked so despondent. And I will say that, you know, for me, Gareth, I feel very hard to judge him at the moment because I do feel that we are not playing to his strengths. We are not allowing him to be the player that we want him to be. And that is why he is lacking severely in confidence. And I've got to be honest with you and say, as long as Jose is here for me, we aren't going to see the Gareth Bale that we want to see. And that's not a dig at Jose. I just think the way we're set up, the structure and the style of it, and this is why Bergwijn gets in over Bale every single week, is because Bergwijn offers so much more from a defence perspective. And Gareth just isn't that player. So it then leads you back to that question you said earlier, I think, Chris, you know, who's buying these players? Whose players are they?
Surely though, Rick, Gareth Bale will be going back to Madrid then in the summer. We won't be signing.
Joe, I feel for Gareth. I mean, he's obviously not very much wanted at Madrid. I would love to see, again, this is very difficult. I do wonder what it would be like with Gareth under a different manager at Spurs. Not that it's going to happen anytime soon, as we've gone through this debate and we're going around in circles again. But I do wonder, you know, what would life be like for Dele? What would life be like, you know, for Gareth? I don't know. At the moment, it's not going to work. I don't see it working. I don't see where Gareth's going to suddenly go on a 7-8 game goal scoring run. It isn't going to happen. He's not going to get the games to either.
The thing is, Rick, Fabrizio Romano was on the channel the other day. He said that the board have actually had words with Gareth Bale and said, you know, it's time now to step up. You know, if you want to be here next season. Apparently, Jose Mourinho has said exactly the same thing. He come out in a press conference and said, you know, Gareth Bale needs to step up in games now. You know, he has to deliver something soon if we are going to have him for next season, surely.
Surely he needs a run of games, Chris, to step up. You know, you can't just... I do think, you know, in order for him to play, he's got to have a run of games. He's not really had a run of games.
Well, this is the thing, because he's not really trusted, not being trusted in Premier League games. A lot of the Europa League games have now passed. You know, he was building up his fitness. His fitness is a lot better, but it's now, you know, what he's delivering on the pitch, which is very, very little.
But then how do you deliver on the pitch when you don't get a successive run of games to then build the confidence up to play?
Another red card for Arsenal.
Hey, come on! They're down to 9 men. You dopey. See that's a dope. Sorry.
Anthony, Gareth Bale for you. What have you made of his season so far?
Well, we're just a bit coming on to the boys, really. He hasn't really pulled up any trees because he hasn't had the chance. And I just think he looks scared. He looks a shadow of his former self. He really looks scared to tackle. You know, he's jumping out of a challenge. You know, people going in for him. He's getting scared. He just doesn't see himself. And I think for us, I want to see the best of Gareth Bale. You know, we all do. And I think, you know, knowing how, like, he'll go and score the winner against City in the final and it'll always be forgiven. But, you know, against Chelsea on Thursday, give him a run out. Give him a chance. What worse can he do? You know, Yes, his defensive options ain't there, but that's not how he plays anymore. Yes, he was a left back when he was at Southampton and first come to us. But his game's changed. As we know, he's won Champions Leagues. He's scored winners in La Ligas, Champions League finals. And I think for us, he needs to step up now, and he needs that belief from Jose and the rest of the players.
Matt, let's come on to you. Now, of course, we've got Chelsea Thursday night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know, after the last 2 games, you know, are you going to be hiding behind the sofa, or are you super confident for this game? You know, how are you feeling? Chelsea, you know, for me, Chelsea and Arsenal, these are the games that you have to win. These are the games that you have to be up for. You have to give 110%, and the players have to be up for it. The manager has to be up for it. You know, everything about it is absolutely huge. You know, how confident are you, you know, in Tottenham getting the 3 points Thursday night?
Not at all. And I hate to say that. I really do hate to say that. You know, for every game I predicted Tottenham victory, but if we're going to be realistic here, I don't see any chance of us getting 3 points in that game, which is it's heartbreaking to say, but it's the truth. You know, Chelsea are still on that new manager bounce. You know, they had the first game they talked about, we had 820 passes and they didn't score a goal. Then they went to Burnley, they played Burnley and they scored their goals, and they're going to be on a high. And it's a derby game like this where players are motivated as much as they possibly can be, and those Chelsea players are 100% going to be up for this, and they're going to see a team that are down, that are really fighting to save anything, and they're going to want to come and beat Spurs. And look, we were in a very similar situation, was it last November or December, where we lost to Liverpool midweek and we had the most ridiculously lackluster, pathetic performance the next Sunday. And the difference is it was Leicester last time, it was Brighton this time. They're 2 very, very different teams. But Jose Mourinho, just about that first time, managed to get a response from the team. Is he going to be able to do it a second time? And these fixtures now, they're coming thick and fast. A couple of defeats in a row, or a couple of poor performances in a row, start to look a whole lot worse than what they would be if it was Saturday, then the next Saturday, and the next Saturday, because the mood is going to be damaged. It's going to be struck every single time we play. And if we lose to Chelsea on Thursday and then we don't get a result at West Brom on Sunday, I really, really fear for Jose's future. And I think he's going to know that. And that's even more so when he's going to become more stubborn and say, no, this is the way we're playing, this is what we're doing, when I just don't think he has the personnel to do that. So going into this game, I've no confidence at all. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to be completely honest. I can't see us getting 3 points in that game. Now, look, I can see us grinding out a nil-all draw if Jose manages to motivate those players. But does he still have the dressing room? Can he still motivate those players? Those are the big, big questions that are going to be asked and answered on Thursday.
Is that really the best you're hoping for, Matt? A 0-0 draw?
It's not the best I'm hoping for, but it's the best I'm expecting, to be perfectly honest. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
He's telling the truth, man. It's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Timo Werner will step up on Thursday. You mark my words, boys.
Yeah.
You mark my words. He's been struggling, but he'll be up for Tottenham on Thursday. And I hate saying that.
They've had back-to-back clean sheets as well. I mean,
yeah, of course. Alonso loves a goal against us. He scored his first goal of the season. He'll love a goal against us. And yeah, they'll rip us apart, mate. They'll rip us apart.
Chris, I think I can see your face, because I know it's a horrible feeling going into a game and not being able to predict the Spurs win. But I think it just sums it up at the moment, the mood around the club. You know, we are feeling despondent as fans. I think the players are despondent. You've got players that don't really want to be there. There's such a combination and, culmination of things there at the moment that I think it's making it very difficult to see where we are going to, look to pick up points at the moment. And it shouldn't really be like that, because we're in a good position still league-wise in terms of, I say good position. We're in a position where we're still within touching distance of that top 4. But, God, I'd love to meet a Spurs fan that's confident of getting a result going into Chelsea. Are you?
No.
What are you saying, Chris?
I've no idea. Do you know what? I'm normally, one to give predictions straight away, but I really don't know how to predict this game. And I don't know whether we're going to go defensive. I don't know whether we're just going to go out there and, go for it, which I think we need to do. And we need to obviously get the 3 points. But I'm normally quite good at predicting the starting 11. And I have no idea what Jose Mourinho will put out on Thursday night. I have no idea whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
And it does worry me because, of course, last season we lost to Chelsea both at home and away. And not only did we lose, they were 2 very poor performances. Matt, if you looked at those performances against, Frank Lampard at the time, both of those performances last season, these are games that you expect every single Tottenham player to be up for. We weren't up for both of those games. So I'm just hoping that, they're going to be up for it this Thursday.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for. The players will fight for this game. But, again, it's so painful to have to say, but there are just players out there that on Sunday had given up and just were not playing for that badge. And is Jose going to be the man who can motivate those players personally? You have to say that he, out of all the people who could do it, he probably won't be that man. And last season, Frank Lampard became the first ever manager to do the league double over Jose Mourinho. There's going to be a whole lot more managers who've done that by the end of the season. Like Jurgen Klopp has done it now this season. The list is going to start growing, and it's going to start growing pretty quickly if you keep going the way we're going. But look, they're just
does he go, boys, on Thursday if we lose?
I don't think he does. No, because I don't think there's options there. I don't think at the moment, and there's an option there to bring. They're not going to pay the money to be able to pay him out of his contract.
Yeah, true. Okay,
it's not going to happen. I think what would give fans a lift, Chris. I know because you maybe want to end the show on a positive. I think what would give fans a massive lift is if you saw Dele Alli in that starting lineup. I think suddenly we think, do you know what? At least he's trying something different. I think that would be the biggest lift. If you said to me that on Thursday, I would see Dele Alli back in that team, I would feel, do you know what? At least he's trying something different. But I don't think he will do it. I think he might be in the squad, but I don't think he'll be in the starting 11. I can't see it.
Ali does love a goal against Chelsea as well.
He does love it, exactly.
What worries me though, Rick, is that second half against Brighton the other day. It just didn't look like we were going to score, even with Carlos Vinicius, recognised striker up front. What? If I was to ask you, what is the best 11 to put out against Chelsea on Thursday night?
I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly, probably the same van. Losing Kane's a massive blow.
It shouldn't be though, Rick. It shouldn't be. This is what I'm saying. We should be beating Brighton with the squad we've got. Pep called it right, mate. The Harry Kane team.
Antony, on Thursday, would you start Carlos Vinicius?
Yeah, I would. Why not?
Would you start Gareth Bale as well?
Yeah, I would. Just give him minutes. What more can he do? What worse can he do?
And
I'd go four at the back. Højbjerg and Dombele, Ali just in front. So you're going 4. I'm just trying to work it out in my head. 4-2-1. Son and Bale on either flanks, and Vinicius up front. So it's sort of, do you know what I mean? So Ali's in that 3-10 role, but Dombele's still there as well. Dombele's like the Ericsson, do you know what I'm saying? But Ali's playing alongside another sort of Ericsson, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But he won't. He'll go Lamella, Bergwijn, Mora will probably come on, run into a couple of people, fall over, and then that's it. And that's the game. And then we'll lose 1-0 or 2-1 or 2-0.
Well, I was going to ask, final question for you. Score predictions. Matt, are you seriously going to go for a 0-0?
Look, I'll go for a 1-0 Spurs win just because I'm always going to predict a Tottenham win. But if we end up on the right-hand side with Matt Doherty playing against Christian Pulisic, it can be any score for Chelsea.
Today, what are you going for?
Oh, mate, it's scary. It's scary. I think confidence is low. I think I love to nick a draw, but I can't see anything, and I hate being that pessimistic, boys. I'm really sorry. No, I just think it's gonna. If we don't turn up, we will get thrashed. Not thrashed, but we will get beat.
Yeah.
Let's call it. Let's be honest, boys. I'm not going to.
I see it's losing comprehensively 2 or 3-1, Chris. Could be worse. Could be worse.
Ricky, you never go for defeats.
I'm just seeing what I see at the moment. I just can't see anything to be positive about. Listen, I'd love to sit and say we're going to win. I don't think we are going to win. I don't think we're even going to draw. I think we're going to be beaten quite comprehensively. I think that's just the mood at the moment. I'd love to, there's nothing that tells me at the moment that there's anything changing. Maybe Dele coming into the starting lineup changes my perception. I think at the moment, I can only go by what I'm seeing from the players. I think we're going to lose it.
I just didn't want to be the first person to predict a defeat. I do think 2-0 Chelsea. Now that you've said it, I can jump in and say
I don't want us. But we can't be sitting here doing a great show with you, Chris. Having a pop and then go, but we're going to win on Thursday. Let's call it. We're all adults, I'm not sitting here thinking. I'm not deluded. I'm not a deluded Spurs fan. I try and tell what I see, and I try and tell the truth. Ricky will back me up. Chris, you've known me a few years. You know what I'm about. I try and tell the truth as how I see it. And Timo Werner will score against us on Thursday. If he's playing, if he starts, or if he comes off the bench, he will score. Mark my words.
I think we'll all need to keep off social media if we lose that game on Thursday. Christ.
We're going to try to keep it all week. God.
Oh, my God.
It's hard. But, again, if he changes the team, you never know. We might nick a win. course you will. Of course I want that to happen.
Football's a strange game. Football
It is a strange game. Look, Wolves are beating Arsenal now. You know, they were 1-0 down and they're just absolutely thrashing them at the moment.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Who's scoring for you, Chris?
Oh, it'll probably be an own goal. I can't see a scoring.
That's the spirit.
Aspilicueta own goal.
Ricky, Matt, Anthony, thank you very much. And let's hope that Tottenham do get the win on Thursday because we really do need those 3 points. Thank you very much and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Guys. Thank you so much.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.